Takes us to our weekend warriors. Of course, Mike Evans tops the list here, guys. 6 catches on 8 targets, and boy, did he make the most of them. 171 yards and a touchdown. Barry, I begged and pleaded with you to take my Bucks over the Bears secondary. But Jay was right as well, so I can't really victory lap that, sadly.
No, you both can. I thought the Bears would cover the 2.5, and they did not. Because
they're only 7.5 points off. There have been worse losses.
Well, if Justin Fields doesn't throw that, ridiculous pick to Shaq Barrett, I mean, they were only down 3.
Is Justin Fields any good?
It's not looking good.
I mean, we are trending rapidly towards them moving in a different direction.
This is year 3 now, and he still can't throw.
He doesn't look comfortable. The offense isn't very well. It's all bad. Yeah. It's all bad right there.
It's a
But it's weekend Warriors.
Bleak.
So we'll get to Justin Fields during a different part of this show called Sunday Scaries. But a big day for Mike Evans, of course. Also a big day for Raheem Mostert. He gets 18 carries, goes for 121 yards and 2 touchdowns on a good New England defense that they might have just been tired in this game. And the fact is right now, there is just so much stress this Miami offense is putting on the opposition, Barry, under Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, I mean, right. There's not much we can talk about Mike Evans other than the fact that, I think, real quickly before we move on to Mostert, I just want to say very quickly on Mike Evans, I think even though, the Bears are bad, I think what Baker Mayfield proved is, regardless of, we'll talk tomorrow as to whether, he's a deep quarterback league ad, but he's going to be viable enough to support Evans and Godwin and Rachaad White as well. That's the important thing. That's all we care about. Is those 3 guys.
Baker's back to being an average NFL quarterback, and that's all that Mike Evans needs.
Correct, factually correct. As for Raheem Mostert, as he's told me privately that he wants to be called, not on air. On air, he mentioned Raheem the Dream, but privately to me, he said, "I'm Raheem Mostert." Look, they made it a point to take away Tirico Hill in that game. That much was clear, which obviously opened up running lanes here. That offense is running on all cylinders. It's fantastic. The fact that, by the way, Savon Ahmed got banged up in this game. He left. It doesn't seem like they're ready to trust Devon Achane. Obviously, Jeff Wilson is on IR. So Raheem Mostert gets the 2 touchdowns. But, and they were leading this game for the most part. Raheem Mostert has never been untalented. The question is never, with him, has always been health and playing time.
Yep.
Right? I mean, he's always had this talent. He's always had the breakaway speed, but he's now getting playing time and he's healthy.
Raheem Mostert is the guy that everyone wants Rashad Penny to be, where basically every time he's out there and healthy, he's 5.5 yards per carry. It's what he's done his entire career, and if he is getting the kind of workload that he's getting at the moment, then he's an elite running back. Thing is, it's probably not going to last because it never does, but until it doesn't, then he is very, very viable in fantasy.
Through the first 2 weeks of the season, he's the 9th best running back in fantasy. He played 74% of the snaps last night, and we talked about this in the preseason, just saying, we didn't understand how low his ADP was. Now, this has obviously all been helped by the fact that Jeff Wilson Jr. is on IR and Achane, but we were just everyone's drafting Devon Achane as if he is clearly the starter, and then Wilson was going way ahead of Mostert, and we're this is kind of a split, and we didn't understand Mostert's ADP. Certainly some things have broken in his favor, but yes, not a fluke. They're home to Denver, a Broncos team that, by the way, just got run over by my Commanders, and number 8 on the field, number 1 in your heart, Brian Robinson.
Yeah, and this Miami offense is it's a wagon. It's completely unstoppable. They're going to be winning a lot of games and running the ball in the second half as they were last night.
Sticking with the running backs here, another player you liked at cost, Barry, was James Cook. He's not getting the red zone work, but it doesn't matter. 17 rushes, 123 yards, and more notably, his involvement in the pass game this year, 4 catches for 36 yards after a game against the Jets last week where he caught the ball a lot too.
That's the key right there, is he's getting the passing game involvement. The touchdowns will come. I get it. It was a bummer, right? So far this season, he's only gotten 2 red zone touches. Latavius Murray has gotten 5. Damian Harris has gotten 4. Both Harris and Murray get into the end zone in this one. But at some point, I think they look around and they look at this and those 2 guys are averaging basically under 4 yards a carry. I think James Cook in this game averaged over 7. James Cook is by far the most explosive guy. Although, I will say this, Latavius Murray's touchdown was an impressive one. He bowled up. I was just all right, damn, all right, he still got it. They're going to continue to be a thorn, and it's why James Cook is more of an RB2 than an RB1. But the fact of the matter is, it's an explosive offense. And they're going to use him quite a bit. Josh Allen is not scared to dump it off to him. So that's the exciting thing. Yeah, James Cook, top 10 running back so far as we head into Monday Night Football.
Once again, another running back, Zach Moss, goes off. Anthony Richardson had to leave the game for the Colts due to the going into concussion protocol. Zach Moss, 18 rushes, 88 yards. He gets the touchdown. He also catches 4 passes for 19 yards. Not a player you'd expect that from, Jay, Zach Moss. That's going to help his production a lot if he has any kind of involvement, even as a check-down guy.
Yep, and he's going to be the guy for the next 2 weeks until Jonathan Taylor, who apparently is 100% healthy based on the videos, but is on the PUP list for reasons that are unknown. Until that point, Moss is going to be very viable. And look, Anthony Richardson, who had a scary concussion, if he's going to be out, I mean, Gardner Minshew is fine. Gardner Minshew is a good backup quarterback, and I don't think it really impacts the rest of the offense too negatively. Obviously, Richardson himself has a lot more upside, and we expect will be better in the future. But for the time being, Gardner Minshew, I think, gives these guys as much opportunity to succeed as Richardson.
He played on 98% of the snaps. This is Zach Moss. It's clearly his backfield. Worth noting, though, they're at Baltimore, then home to the Rams, home to Tennessee, which in theory might be the game that Jonathan Taylor comes back for, and then at Jacksonville. So I wouldn't go crazy for Zach Moss, but again, if you're looking, and they clearly want to run the ball, and if Anthony Richardson's going to miss any time, Zach Moss would get more of a workload. We'll talk about where we would target him if he's still available in your league on the waiver show tomorrow. But yeah, look, in a good situation, he did what you should do, which is he got all the work and he converted.
Our last 2 weekend warriors, well, if you watched fantasy football pregame, you would have already known. Listen in.
This is from yesterday. Today will be the coming out party for a Texans wide receiver. Now, I don't know if it's going to be Nico Collins or Tank Dell.
Or John Mechie making his long way to professional.
It could be
league.
John
Or
Mechie.
Xavier Hutchinson?
No, it's not going to be Robert Woods. It's
Okay.
not going to be John Mechie. He's in the
Okay.
slot. He's going
All
up
right.
against Kenny Moore. It's not going to be either of those guys.
Okay.
It's either going to be Tank Dell or Nico Collins.
Okay.
And I rank Nico over Tank, but one of those guys is going to have himself a day-to-day
All right.
for the Texans against the Colts. Again, I beg them not to show this clip.
I wanted to surprise you.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it, Connor. It's very kind of you. Again, I'm just about grinding, doing the work. I'm just out here trying to help people, just moving the ball forward, not
Right.
looking back and celebrating my wins. But let's be clear, that was a win. Let's just as long as it's played, as long as it's being talked about. The fact is that I was wrong because it wasn't Nico Collins or Tank Dell. It was both of them. I was right on both of them, Jay. Sometimes my genius just can't help itself. It just spills out of me.
Overwhelms, yes.
It just
Makes a
overwhelms
big mess.
me.
Makes a big old mess.
1,000%. Thank you for not bringing up the Kirk Cousins on my hate list this week. The fact is, yeah, it just sometimes I can't help myself.
I think
It just spills out.
one of the big takeaways yesterday is that C.J. Stroud was quietly excellent
Yes, thank
yesterday
you.
in a way that he wasn't in week 1, but he had a 9.3 yards average depth of target. Nico Collins and Tank Dell, they're both good. They're both very solid. And if Stroud is that good, here's the thing. They can't keep him upright because the offensive line is a mess.
Brutal.
He's taken 11 sacks in 2 games.
They're missing a lot of guys.
They will get some
Yeah.
guys off the IR, I think, in week 5. I think he's just got to survive and stay alive for 2 more weeks. But Stroud is better than expected, I think, and Collins and Dell are as well.
Yeah, look, and we're going to talk about Damian Pierce in a second here. But yeah, that's the concern. 4 of their 5 offensive line starters are missing, are
bad.
injured. And so given the fact that they can't run the ball effectively for a variety of reasons, they're down in games as they're going to throw. Nico Collins and Tank Dell are very talented. And to your point, C.J. Stroud has shown enough that you're like, there have been some rough spots. But like, there's also where you're like, that kid can play. That kid can play. I think the accuracy's been impressive so far. And so at some point, and I think it's going to be sooner rather than later, at some point, the Texans are going to sit here and go like, you know what? Robert Woods isn't part of our future. I mean, like they need more. I mean, already we're seeing Nico Collins and Tank Dell, both of them, like again, if you miss the game, 7 for 146 and a touchdown for Nico Collins, 23% target share so far this year. He's had at least 5 receptions in 5 of his past 6 games dating back to last year. Ding. Tank Dell, by the way, 10 targets in week 2. We talked about the connection between Stroud and Tank Dell. 78% of snaps when you think about week 1 when he only played up 45%. I said in the preseason, Tank Dell's going to be a thing this year. It's already happening. Same with Nico Collins. Again, you're welcome, America. God bless. Fantasy football pregame every Sunday,
God bless
11 a.m. Eastern on Peacock. Tune in, get smarter, get wins. Don't have to chase guys like Nico Collins or Tank Dell on the waiver wire because you'll already have them on your team. Again, I'm about the work. I appreciate you guys, but let's move on. Let's not talk about me anymore. Let's just move on. Again, I'm just about the work. I know some people are saying it's a great call. Some people are saying, not me, but some people are saying, what an amazing call. The best call since I called Nuka. Since I called Puka. Again, just about the work.
Those are the guys that dominated, but unfortunately every Sunday comes with the scaries. And we kind of talked about this guy briefly, but Justin Fields leads the list. 16 to 29, 211 yards, has a touchdown, but also throws 2 interceptions. It's just hard right now, Jay, to have a lot of faith in what this Bears offense is trying to do and the fact that Fields is not getting it done.
They just seem like a broken team, more than any other team in the league right now, to be honest, because at least Arizona are fighting. Houston are fighting. This team's got nothing right now, and he had 4 carries for 3 yards.
That's
as
the
well,
thing.
which is
he's
just
not running.
Yeah. So that just kills you because he's not providing value in the passing game. He averaged 149 passing yards a game last year. He's never been a good passer, and if he's not giving you 10 carries for 65, 70 yards, then you're no chance.
I'm not dropping him, but I am looking for alternatives if until he gets it straightened out here. Especially because, by the way, Deontay Foreman was a scratch in this game, so Rashawn Johnson and Khalil Herbert were clearly a committee there. That's how they want to run the ball.
DeAndre Hopkins, another player that makes the list. He only has 4 catches on 5 targets for 40 yards. And Hopkins, it was really a question down to the wire, Barry, if he was even going to play in this game. He might not be at full strength right now. I think it's safe to say he's not at full strength.
Yeah, I mean, like, he didn't practice all week. He was a game-time decision. He still, so far this year, has a 31% target share. Tannehill was brutal in week 1. He's less than healthy. I actually think he's a buy low candidate.
2 running backs that had brutal days. Dameon Pierce gets the volume, 15 rushes, only 31 yards. Breece Hall does not, only 4 carries for 9 yards. Jay, you already talked about the Texans. Their offensive line is in shambles. Bad news for Pierce. With the Jets, they just didn't
And thank you for not bringing up the fact that I was really high on Pierce throughout the preseason.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line is just non-viable. And the Jets don't have a good offensive line either,
Right.
sneakily there. And look, Zach
Dallas
Wilson
is going to kill a lot of teams, too.
We'll see who's quarterback for the Jets out of the bye in a few weeks because I'm
Yeah.
not sure it's going to be Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Breece Hall. And Dameon Pierce, I think you just have to hang tough again because I think the offensive line will get better. Hall, you're still starting. Pierce, it depends on the matchup.
Yeah, my bigger takeaway is I'd be worried about Dalvin Cook. Brutal
Yes.
fumble, looks bad. Breece looks good. He just didn't get the ball. Our last
Correct.
guy here, I hate to say it, but it feels like we have this conversation every other week. It's Kyle Pitts. 2 catches, 5 targets, 15 yards.
Desmond Ridder was awful in that game.
Yeah.
He's not good at the moment, Desmond Ridder, and Kyle Pitts is suffering as a result.
Yeah, I mean, at least Drake London got on the scoreboard, so it was great to see Drake London. But again, Kyle Pitts, like, at least one of those guys is going to be unstartable every week. If Kyle Pitts is your starting tight end, you need to be very, very nervous. By the way, speaking of that game, Falcons, Packers, I just want to mention Jordan Love, who so far this season is the number 2 quarterback in fantasy points per game, averaging over 20. He's got 6 touchdown passes through 2 weeks. So if you're sitting there with a Justin Fields, I know, Jordan Love, we'll talk more about him tomorrow on waivers. We'll talk more about, well, probably me and my calls. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.